Hey, everybody. You like that? So cool. Yeah, I put it together and yeah. And did you see the questions? What the questions were so pertinent, like how, like it's about like what we're going to be talking about today. Yeah. So how are y'all doing? It's been a while since we've seen each other.
Yeah, I am
doing
good.
well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's still early here.
It is 2021, y'all. We survived 2020. We are here. It is great to be able to be here with y'all today.
Yes.
Yeah. Victoria, tell us what's going on. Introduce yourself first and tell us what's happening in your location of the world.
Great question. So, hi, everybody. My name is Victoria Thompson, and I am a STEM integration transformation coach. I just call myself a STEM coach. I'm an EdTech consultant based out of Tacoma, Washington, which is a suburb of Seattle. Since the last time we've met, I've been involved in a lot of different things. So specifically, I am on a committee in Washington State to incorporate African American studies into curriculum in K-12 in Washington State. We finalized all of our stuff, which is wonderful, and it's been sent off to the OSPI board, which is amazing. I've been working, of course, on my book through EduMatch. So that has also been very wonderful and a great process because there were some new things that came up that I definitely wanted to add in there. I've been involved in a couple of different conferences since we last spoke, including Impact Education. And I'll be presenting on a panel at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, otherwise known as MIT, in just a couple of days on the future of mathematics. Nice. And then I'll be presenting at Sacramento State in 3 days. So quite a bit going on, but a lot of fun. And again, just so happy to start this up with y'all again. And I'm an EdTech consultant, coach, author, blogger. You know, I do a lot of things, but this is one of my favorite things that I do.
Oh, good. We love you. Congratulations on all of those amazing things happening in your life.
So awesome.
It was so crazy. I went to update my website and I had about like 5 different things, you know, that I had done, including something with Buncee and Microsoft Malaysia. And I know that we're meeting with Buncee today, so that'll be fun to talk about. But I had like 5 or 6 different things that I had to add, and that was just throughout the month of January. So it'll be fun to keep adding as the year goes on.
For sure, for sure. Well, thank you for that introduction. What about you, Dr. Arlene? It's been a while. Why don't you tell everybody that's watching all about you and where you're coming in? You make it a global happening.
Yes.
Yeah. So I have lived in Kuwait for the last 36 years, since 1984. I retired in 2019 from full-time work, and I am now a PD specialist, offering professional development on a voluntary basis for different people, and also a mentor to refugee teachers and refugee students around the world. I'm a blogger, a podcaster. My Journeys to Belonging podcast is already up to episode 45 this week, which is really exciting. Yes, yeah.
Wonderful.
And I'm also writing a book for EduMatch about belonging, which has been a journey for me. So I'm really excited about that. And a chapter, sort of a sneak preview of the book, is in Snapshot of Education 2020, which EduMatch just published. And so I'm really excited. There are also some really awesome other authors in that snapshot. So if you get a chance, I would definitely pick that up.
Heck yes. If you want to find the link, I can drop it. I'll go ahead and introduce myself. First of all, I didn't do a very good job of saying hello to everybody in our community because the intro just got me so excited and I wanted to see your two faces. But it's great to see everybody. My name is Melody McAllister. I'm an educator, author, blogger, and I just do a lot of consulting with different educators, and I'm streaming everywhere. But like Victoria said, this is one of my most favorite things. Yes. I think it's so we're timely right now. So Black History officially starts tomorrow. We stream through the teacher tech community for Alice Keeler, and a lot of conversation has already popped up about like, what are resources? And so of course we try to do all the free resources, but we've talked about previously, Victoria especially has just talked about how, and shared some stories about pulling out those free resources aren't always the best resources. In fact, a lot of times they can be traumatizing for our students of color. And so we are like continuing on our conversations from 2020, and we're going to get deeper. We have some great guests today. We have guests from Nearpod Flocabulary and Buncee that we all know very well. Like these are companies and people that we know, have worked with, and can we would testify for in court if we ever had to, right?
We definitely support what they're doing. Yes.
We would post their bail if we needed to. That's how much we love them. I'm not sure. That's just ridiculous. Anyway, we're going to talk to them very soon and talk about how like their EdTech companies and even how they individually, why they care about anti-racist education and how the company that they work for also provides for that. I'm so excited. But what we do on every single one of these broadcasts before we begin, we talk about the agreements that we have for courageous conversations, and we get it from Glenn Singleton's book. So Eileen, do you want to tell us, just share about the agreements?
Yes, I will share about the agreements. The first one is to stay engaged. So even if we disagree with the person or persons that we're talking with, we need to stay engaged. We need to keep an open mind. We need to make sure that we don't shut down because they say something that we're not agreeing with. We need to, and often we do, experience discomfort because the conversations that we're having are courageous and means that they're very difficult. And so sometimes it sort of puts us off center, and we need to continue listening and experiencing that discomfort. And hopefully it may not change our mind, but we definitely we will feel it. We also want to speak our truth, the things that we believe in. We need to feel that we're in a safe space to be able to do that. And we should expect and accept non-closure, which means sometimes these conversations start, but they don't finish right away. Often they don't finish right away. And so we need to be ready for that, to walk out of the room and say, I'm not sure that I was completely satisfied with that conversation. I think I need to revisit it, either sort of just reflecting on the process or going back to the person or persons and continuing that conversation later on.
Right. And I watched a video today, a music video, and it came out in September, but I hadn't seen it. And it was a music video with a band that I like. And it was talking about how, as a nation, we will rise or we will fall together. And I wish I had seen it when it first came out. And I think that's why these conversations are so extremely important, because literally, if we fall, it is because it's on all of us. These are courageous conversations because they're not easy conversations. For us, they're a little bit easy because this is something that we have studied, that we have been a part of for quite a while. But for others who are just coming into this, maybe it was this summer, things really got like into your brain a lot more, or just recently you feel like you're seeing holes in hypocrisy where you've never seen it before, and you're looking for answers. So we're so glad that you're here today. And these agreements definitely, like Dr. Eileen said, they keep us safe and respectful, because we definitely want to be on the rise together part of that. So do any of you have anything to add before we bring up our first guest?
I just really quickly want to say that I know for you and me, Melody, we've been on this journey for a while. And so we've had some of these difficult conversations. And so, we know how it is. We may be at a different point from those who are watching us right now, but we can say there's hope at the end if you do keep these agreements in mind.
Yeah, and I think that's true. Like, as a woman of color myself, we're not expecting, when people first start on this journey, perfection. We're not expecting 110%. We're not even expecting a great grand lesson or, for students to become liberated at the end of it. Even though that's the end goal, we know that that's not actually attainable if somebody is first starting out. So what we're asking for is just grace and acceptance and trying. Baby steps are still steps, and don't be afraid to take those steps, because it's only going to make you a better educator in the long run. There are lots of great resources that are vetted through EdTech companies, which we'll talk about today, and so many great places and people that you can turn to if you have questions or, even if you're just starting out, right? Like, I feel like part of the issue is if you're first beginning, where do you go for where you have people that you can trust? And I feel like if you're listening, today is a great place to get some information about that. That way you know where to go next.
I love that. Thank you both for sharing that. Totally great. Our first guest is actually from Buncee, and we're going to bring her up. I didn't even ask before this, but either one of you, tell us about our friend, Ida Jimenez.
Hello, hello.
I'll tell you about Ida. Ida and I have a long history. So I love Buncee. I actually got connected through Buncee just by one, using their product, and two, I posted a picture of like me and my dog using Buncee. And then Francesca, who works for Buncee, reached out to me and I had a conversation with her, and then she put me in contact with Ida. So Ida and I have worked very closely on not just Buncee, but Buncee with Microsoft Teams. And if y'all know me, I love Microsoft Teams and I love utilizing Buncee to enhance student engagement experiences. And Ida's just been a wealth of knowledge, not just as a friend, but also as somebody that can leverage different types of apps together to make great experiences for students. And she also works internationally as well. She's worked with me with Buncee and also Microsoft Malaysia and Microsoft Education here in the United States. So when we were talking about EdTech companies, I said, I got to get my girl on here on the podcast.
Awesome.
So, Ida, I'm so happy you're here today and welcome.
No, thank you for having
welcome.
me. Yeah, I'm excited
Ida,
to be here. Like Victoria said, it's been a pleasure to be able to collaborate with her. And actually also Eileen, we actually started our journey together also with Malaysia. So there was a little bit of a international theme going here. So I love being here with you guys.
And tell us about what you do and your role with Buncee. Tell us all about you.
Yeah, definitely. So I've been with Buncee for the last, I believe, like 5 years now. So it's been an awesome journey for me. So a little bit about a background of my role here is that I have really this sort of blessing of an opportunity to be able to just connect with other educators like Victoria, like Dr. Eileen, as we just mentioned, and really just educators around the world. And my hope is just to be able to collaborate with them, to be able to see if we can leverage each other's experiences to support one another and also make learning just more fun and engaging for our students really around the world. So that's really just been my blessing as my role here. But in terms of Buncee itself, where I sort of come into it is, if you don't know Buncee yet, it's really a creativity focused tool. So students use it, teachers use it, administrators use it, parents use it, my parents use it, my grandma uses it too, sort of thing, right? But it's a media-rich content creation tool. So our hope is that with this tool, we're giving students, this sort of creative flexibility to express themselves in whatever way possible. And so that's sort of our driving mission for it, is bringing creativity to the class to make it much more inclusive, much more fun, and really just bring everyone, to make learning come to life. So that's a little bit about me and my work at Buncee.
Thank you. We're so glad you're here. And I don't need to hurry, but I'm gonna bring up our next guest too. So Merv, I hope you're watching. I hope you're ready. All right. Our next guest is my good friend Marvin Jenkins, and he's an amazing. I'm gonna see if we can make this a little bit closer. There we go. Hey Marvin. I got to meet you in person. Yeah, I got to meet him in person in EST in 2019. Tell us all about you and your role with Nearpod and Flocabulary and everything about you. You're so awesome.
All right, well, thank you so much for having all of us on, Mel. Really appreciate it. My name is Marvin Jenkins, and I'm actually a senior brand ambassador with Nearpod, with the Flocabulary platform, and also working with strategic planning. So a lot of branding opportunities we get to just showcase what we do as an organization. Flocabulary, if you don't know about it, it's a K-12 learning experience that's pretty much designed to engage students using Tier 2, Tier 3 vocabulary to reinforce the curriculum. Our lessons offer literacy across the board, 21st century learning skills. So when you start thinking about things like critical thinking, collaboration, communication, the 3 C's, I say, we bring that to the table. Social emotional learning lessons, and our highly requested weekend wrap, which are themed around current events. What I love about the platform, quite frankly, is the fact that representation is huge. It's very intentional. When you watch vocabulary videos, you see everyone, all walks of life in real life scenario. And that's what is the big piece for engagement with our students, let alone hip hop music, #1 genre in the world right now.
That is so cool. I'm so glad you're here. I've got to work with Marvin a few times. So I always enjoy seeing his face and listening to him and learning from him. And honestly, I just got to, he could rap like about anything that I can hold up my cell phone and he could make up an entire song about it. Like, that's so cool. He's so talented. So we're so glad you're here.
I love that.
It's true, isn't it, Merv? It is spectacular.
Speaking of, here we go. 2001, I remember when I started to work with Glenn Singleton. Courageous Conversation. Oh, what a thrill. We did some serious work down in Chapel Hill, talking North Carolina, rapper plus rhymer, got great bands, so call me old timer. Y'all know the deal. So what you really telling me? Peace out to the crew. Once again, thank you, Melody.
That was seriously on the spot.
Yes, my dog approves. Did you like that?
Yes. That's so cool.
Oh, man.
That's fantastic.
That was wonderful.
Yeah, I heard
yes.
When you guys introed, Dr. Eileen was talking about Glenn Singleton. I know Glenn from back 2001. I was a high school assistant principal in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and he brought his work to the entire Chapel Hill School District. We touched base since then, but definitely Glenn's been doing some amazing work around the country. And every now and then I shout him out on LinkedIn, but good guy, great work, and I'm glad to hear that it's being brought into this conversation.
Heck yeah. Maybe you could help him get on this broadcast with us.
Yeah.
Hey, I can throw a shout out to Glenn. He and I, we went back and forth on something just a few months ago. So let me know, Mel. I'll definitely shout him out.
Man, I love you. All right. Thank you so much for that. And our last guest that is going to be here today, she's been waiting so patiently, Miss Quinae Jackson. Oh, there we go. Woo! Quinae, how are you doing?
Hello. So good to see all of you all.
Yes, thank you for waiting so patiently. So you saw, we are so glad you're here, and we see your Nearpod shirt on. Tell us what you do, where you are, anything, all about yourself.
Absolutely. So hey everybody, my name is Quinae. I am the Nearpod brand ambassador for the East. So I work with all the schools on the East side, one time, Merv. And basically what I do is just to really amplify the amazing things that Nearpod is doing to really transform teaching and learning. It's something that I did before I came on board with Nearpod. As an educator, I was an instructional coach. I taught in the classroom for 9 years, was an instructional coach for several years, elementary and middle school. So it's just an amazing opportunity to be able to transfer what we did in the classroom to this broader glass where we can sort of fill it up and get everyone in on what is happening with Nearpod, using Nearpod to really transform not only just the technology experience, but I'm so glad we're having this conversation, but really just to open up what learning can be for students everywhere, to really just bridge that gap and make sure that all students are exposed to rigorous and engaging learning experiences across the board.
Yes.
I love that. And I got to meet Quinae a couple of weeks ago. We're doing a Camp Engage. So before our broadcast ends, Quinae, remind me we'll invite everybody to that. And everything that we're all doing, we're going to have an opportunity to shout out. So we're just about to get into our topic, but those of you who are just watching, we have been talking about vetting resources and finding very dependable resources so that we do not re-traumatize our students of color especially. So our first question is going to be, if I can pull it up, hold on, let me see. I'm having a little bit of trouble.
I got it now.
Go ahead, there we go.
So the first is kind of going to be twofold. So what is anti-racist education to you? And then why is anti-racist education important to both you and the companies that you represent? I know that's a lot to digest, so if you need to take a minute, that's totally okay. But just kind of reflect on what that means to you as an individual and how that's represented in your EdTech company.
Well,
I'll go ahead.
yeah, I'll go ahead and kick in. You know, I'm a little older in the game, so it's interesting. But when I think about my own K-12 learning experience, the educational platform, it didn't depths of the achievement of people of color. Quite frankly, it's still missing in a lot of the content that's being shared today. But life has a very funny way of correcting the works of men, I like to say. We have the internet now, and it's still a balance in that, but people are more empowered with the ability to go and do their own research on almost any topic that you can imagine, you know, with Flocabulary and the work we do. One of our missions is we're committed to fostering a student. And that student engagement is big, that literacy across the curriculum, like I said earlier. And a lot of people still don't know those four pillars of literacy we cover: reading, writing, speaking, listening. You know, it's all there. But when I think about just anti-racism as far as an approach to education, it's what we haven't done, and we need to be good stewards. I mean, for too long, I had a professor that used the term "dead white European men." He said "DWEM," D-W-E-M. That's pretty much who sort of set the tone for this country. We've been following that to a T. But I'm happy to see over the last few decades, probably decade to be honest, that there's been a lot of work around being intentional about bringing everyone, regardless of your background, into the curriculum. And it's sad. I really hate to get political, but it was a nightmare thinking we'd probably get to a point where they started pulling that curriculum out of schools. And that was being talked about for a minute with the last administration. So I'm glad that equity and access is going to be back at the forefront. I'm definitely all about that. So I'll just stop there because I can really get going on this one. But yeah.
Thank you.
I'll jump in there. I was thinking as Merv was talking and reflecting upon how I was raised. And as a little girl and being a person of color, my mom had to search to find things that looked like me. If it were dolls, if it were books, whatever it was, there was a search that had to be made so that I could have something that could relate to me. I remember as a little girl, even at Christmas, and we would put an angel on top of the tree, my mom would get a marker to color the angel because at that point, it was very difficult to find a brown angel. And so I'm bringing those things up to say that anti-racist education is important, not only to me, but it's important to the human race because there is something to be said about validation. And when children can feel validated in who they are, it makes the world a better place. Nearpod does work to make sure that children do feel validated. But if I'm just speaking about personally for me, it's important because everyone deserves to feel validated. Everyone deserves to find a space in this world that they can relate to. If it's at school, if it's in a book. I remember as a kid, I loved the Boxcar Children, but the Boxcar Children didn't look like me. Yeah. And so, there was a series that came out. It was called 18th Street, Pine Street, or something like that. And it was a book series. And I searched for years because I couldn't find them. But it was the only one that was like those types of books for girls and kids who look like me. So that's why it's important for me.
Yeah, and if I can add to that, so I love the way that you framed it as validation because the way I was thinking of it really was more about inclusivity. So my main sentiment about it is really that if we broaden up the education, a lot more people feel more included. And my sentiment was actually about the validation because even when I was younger, so background is I'm Filipino, right? And so we had moved to the US early in my younger years. And so technically I was studying in the Philippines, but you know, when I moved here, the fact that a lot of people, there was no Filipinos in my school. So then all of a sudden I stood out in that way, first of all. Then it started being like a lot of people were like, what is that? So then it started to be as like this question of, do I feel part of it? Is, do I want to be Filipino is the next question for me. And obviously now, I totally want to be Filipino, right? And so having much more education makes people much more involved, and at the same time makes students feel, they're part of the conversation. I mean, one of my favorite commercials that actually just happened a few months ago is that Disney is launching its first ever Southeast Asian movie. Isn't it awesome? And so like that is really amazing because, it's really about making students, kids, everyone just feel part of the conversation that, that they're just not this isolated group that, maybe nobody knows about, but they're really part of society. So that's really the significance of anti-racist education.
So follow up, thinking about anti-racist education, and Black History Month is coming up literally tomorrow, but we also have lots of other different months that are celebrated throughout the course of our calendar year. What are some resources that you think that teachers can use, not just for Black History Month, but I'm thinking long term, right? Just so that way teachers know a trusted resource, a vetted resource, and they can kind of get a feel as to what your company has to offer in this realm.
Yeah,
absolutely.
What I was going to say, we didn't really talk about, I'm sorry to interrupt, we didn't really talk about like specific, the anti-racist part of our companies. Do we want to jump to that and then go into the resources?
Sorry, Melody. Yeah, we can totally.
No, that's okay. No. And
so you
just
can pose that
question.
question.
Go back.
Yeah, you can pose that question. I'll come back to the other one.
So go ahead, Quinay. How does the EdTech company like Nearpod and Flocabulary embody anti-racist education specifically?
Absolutely. So it is one of our team values when we think about how we do things around here, right? That whole idea of culture, how we do things, it is built into everything that happens at Nearpod. From the HR experience, we have a DEI experience from when you come in through HR every month, and then even through the content. So when you go onto the Nearpod library, you'll find we have a racial justice section. You'll find we have a section for Black History Month. You'll find that these things are built in, but not only in those specific ways that it sticks out for Black History Month, because we believe that Black history is American history. It's all a part of what we should be doing all the time. So when you go in and look at some of the content in the videos, you'll see that there is a effort to make sure that there's diversity in those characters, not just diversity from skin color, not just diversity from women or men, but even dialect. You'll hear people talking from the south of the country, people talking from the north, people who speak English as a second language. So all of these things, there's an intentional effort to make sure that we are working to include all voices and to ensure that we're always incorporating everyone. And then we have a built-in system where educators can even provide feedback. So if they see something and they're like, okay, I'm not sure about this, there is a built-in way for them to say, hey, you might want to look at this. And then the company takes that information, looks at it, and where it's necessary, they'll revise. So it is what we do. It's the way we do things at Nearpod and Flocabulary.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on what Quinay is saying, our CEO, Pep, he took a big stance on behalf of the organization when things were just really shaky on the political side. And I love that about the organization because I watch friends with other groups and organizations that had leaders who were afraid to speak up, even though they probably knew what was happening around the world, especially here in the United States, back with the whole Black Lives Matter movement and the protest that was happening. A lot of people remained quiet, and we know what we say about people when they see an injustice and they don't speak out. You're really not helping the cause, you're hurting it. So to be a part of an organization that took a stance during that time meant a whole lot to me, and I personally reached out to Pep just to say thank you because it meant a lot, and that's what we're going to have to see more of. Now I do want to shout out this one student a couple of years ago. It's been about 2 years because the pandemic sort of knocked us off. But speaking of February, we're going to do a Black History Month vocabulary contest where students get to write a rap about an historical figure. And the winner, I'm not sure what's going to happen this time, but back then, a couple of years ago, it was a young man, Jaden Jackson, from Homewood, Flossmoor High School in Illinois. He actually won. He wrote a rap about former Georgia Congressman John Lewis, and he was chosen out of over 1,000 entries. And Flocabulary got his family up to New York. He got to record his song in the Flocabulary studio, and now the actual rap and the video is part of our racial and social justice content catalog. So if you get a chance, go and check it out. It's the John Lewis rap done by a student. Fantastic, and another show for what we believe in and bring to the table as an organization.
That's amazing. And, just from the Buncee side, I just wanted to add, even internally, just as us as an organization, first of all, we're super diverse. And that's what I think is really important for me. We come from literally every sort of background. You could be Caucasian, you could be from India, you could be like me from the Philippines. So that's how we are just natively in terms of our organization. But when we develop Buncee, it's very much intentional in the way that we, add our assets, any sort of templates, the graphics that, are accessible to our students or our teachers. So if you actually go into Buncee, just so as a background to everyone, so it's a content creation tool. So you have access to a lot of different media. And one of the important ones is that we make sure that every sort of graphic is diverse. If we add a new sticker or a new sort of animation, we always bring it with an entire diverse asset group. So that way, we really try to touch on different, backgrounds. And so one of my sort of favorite memories was that one of our community members out in Hawaii, she actually reached out to me because she was really happy about the fact that, the Buncee graphics library was very diverse. But she teaches her group of students, and they were actually celebrating Filipino heritage out in the Philippines. And so she was trying to relive that, sort of celebration with them. And so she said what she loved about Buncee is that she actually searched Philippines and she found all of these different Asia graphics. And she said in no other tool has she ever seen, people actually think about other Asians or add those types of graphics, especially if you're specifically looking at Filipinos. And so she was super touched by it. And she said all of the students were so happy to just be able to see it. And so we try to make sure everything is as diverse. I mean, we even spent the whole month really adding more cultures. So we had a lot from the Middle East, we added from South America. Really, we tried to touch on every sort of region because, education is for everyone, for every sort of student. So we want to make sure that they feel part of it.
Yeah. And then Ida, real quick, could you touch on the Buncee Ideas Lab, or not Idea Library, but Idea Lab? That way folks know that. Yeah.
So great point. So Buncee Ideas Lab, so that is actually my favorite feature in Buncee, but it's a really powerful library where you're going to access a lot of different ideas, innovative creations that are made from different educators across the world. And so you'll be able to access these classroom ready activities from it. But as part of Black History, we also have a lot of different templates and resources that have been shared by our community and also uploaded by us so that you have access to it if you're looking for these in support of your classroom research. So you have access to these templates over there. But in addition to Buncee's Ideas Lab, if you are part of the Flipgrid Discovery Library, you could actually check us out on the Buncee part in there. And you'll be able to also access our Black History activities from there too.
Thank you.
Yeah, Def.
Yeah, but Buncee is amazing. I use it to relax. And being here in the Middle East, we're used to being sort of ignored and not really finding ourselves in the different types of apps unless they're created in this region. And so it's wonderful that Buncee and Nearpod and Flocabulary are just so interested in making sure that they pay attention to the teachers and the teachers' needs and listen to the educators out in the field so that if they are missing something, they immediately look at how they can fill that gap. And I think that's a wonderful part of it because, of course, as a company, they're not going to know everything. But if they have their ear to the ground, and especially in this case with educators, then they know what's going on, and they, you know, immediately react to it as soon as they're able to create those things. So we really appreciate that from all your companies.
Well, thank you.
Yes, thank you. I really believe that diversity opens the door. Like, it's the door. If you don't have everyone, you're not having a full conversation. You don't get to experience that full experience. So without, you know, like you said, having that ear to the ground, you're missing out on a whole world. Merv did and some other people in our company did a great presentation on culturally responsive teaching, and they had a video from Chimamanda Ngozi, and she talked about when you only share a single story, you risk a critical misunderstanding. Right. And I went on top of that to say, not only is it a misunderstanding, but it's a missed understanding, because you miss an opportunity to connect, you miss an opportunity to grow and learn.
Right. So
yeah, that's so true.
A follow-up question that wasn't on our list, but I think is important for us to go over and ask, you know, just the entire part of having ears to the ground. I feel like, especially as an EdTech consultant myself, there have been moments where I work with companies and they don't have ears to the ground. And it's very obvious that I'm the only person in a room full of software developers or marketers that actually has either had classroom experience or is currently in schools with folks. What do y'all do to make sure that you stay connected with teachers? I know that that's a big part of the teacher vetting EdTech process, right? Like, is my voice heard? Is my voice valued? So what do y'all do to make sure that teachers are continuously being heard? And then also, maybe if teachers want to get in contact with you, right? You know, like, where can they go to find information about your product or maybe some things that you have?
Yeah, I could kick it off. Oh.
Go ahead.
Don't worry. So yeah, I mean, in terms of the ears on the ground, I mean, I think if I were to say anything about Buncee, we truly have an open door policy, is really how we look at it. So, you know, our community is really our family at this point. So we lean on everyone. I mean, Victoria, you share so much feedback. Dr. Eileen shares feedback on our product too. Really, we look to our community to be able to help us to improve. But in terms of how, you know, people can actually get in touch with us, we actually have, you know, dedicated Facebook community groups where you'll be able to share your feedback direct. But in any case, a lot of our community actually just reaches out to us directly, literally through Twitter DMs, you know, Facebook DMs, everything. And we respond to every sort of message for it. So we appreciate any feedback anyone has for us.
Yeah, Buncee also has a wonderful ambassador program.
Yes, they do. Yes, they
do. And I know that's a big way also that they're able to get the, you know, feedback from the community, because those who are really active users of Buncee, especially in their classrooms, reach out immediately when they see there's a need or a student asks for something that isn't available. So.
Yeah, and honestly, the ambassador program has been amazing for us because, you know, when we look for feedback, we're really looking for feedback to tell us, you know, what's not working for the kids, why is it not working, you know, what resources can we do to help? And so our ambassadors have been amazing to just be able to tell us literally and very bluntly, you know, what they would like to see and how we can do it better. And so it's really an amazing opportunity for us.
I got so excited when you asked that question because, so I'm going to tell you guys a story. So Nearpod has several communities. My favorite being the pioneers. Why? Because I was a pioneer, and I didn't know that everyone in the world didn't know about the pioneers. I was at a ADI training, and they were talking about Nearpod, and I was like, yes, because I'm a pioneer. And they were looking at me like, were you on a wagon? Like, what are you talking about? Did you go across the country? And I was like, no. We are Nearpod pioneers. And so I'm saying that to say that there is such an active group that it was hard for me to imagine that the world did not know. Not only do we have our Nearpod pioneers who sort of are our champions, they go out because they love Nearpod. They're not paid, nothing like that, but they go out. I was doing like I said, this job before I got this job because it was such a great product. In addition to the pioneers, we have Nearpod certified educators. We also have Flocabulary certified educators. We have Facebook communities for all of those different groups. We also have Nearpod certified trainers. So there are different levels to those sort of ambassador programs that you can get in and be involved in addition to our huge Twitter following and family. We love Twitter. We do Twitter chats every single week. I'll plug the one that's coming up this week a little later, but make sure you tune in. It's going to be amazing. But those are all of our communities. And like I said in the beginning, having those people provide feedback is something that's critical to what Nearpod does.
And I'm going to speak up. I am also a Nearpod pioneer, and I actually get to share my I get to share my code for 3 months of the gold edition. I got permission to do that. So at the end, I'm going to drop it for everybody who's watching, especially after we show some resources. So these Nearpod has like already made lessons. So if you're starting out and you don't even know where to start, or you forgot Black History starts tomorrow, Nearpod's got you covered. And I'm going to drop my code so that you can have 3 months of gold, and you can get those lessons free of charge. So yeah, and I love it. See, I got my Nearpod and my the other side Flocabulary. Like, I'm OG Flocabulary. All I gotta
OG.
Yeah.
Love it.
Oh. And so, does anybody want to share their screen and like show us the lessons that Nearpod or Buncee are doing? I would love that. And
Awesome.
Feel free to like pull it up and share your screen. I know, Ida, we were talking before we went live that you don't mind sharing your screen to show some templates.
Yeah, I could totally do that. So if you give me a hot second here, let me go pull up my screen.
Yeah.
All right.
And I'll share.
And Quinae, go ahead. Yeah.
All right. So
Okay.
I think you should see my screen, or do you see it?
Yep. I do. And I'm.
All right. Perfect.
There we go.
Perfect. I can see it.
Awesome. So where I'm at right now is the Flipgrid Discovery Library. So we partner with Flipgrid to provide a lot of different resources that you can leverage, whether you want to use it with Flipgrid or directly with Buncee. But effectively, if you head to the Flipgrid Discovery Library and go to Buncee, you'll see our page right here. But we have a lot of different resources across different collections. So you'll notice on the top right over here, there's the collections. We actually just launched our Black History collection. So it's great timing for this. Where we're at, but you'll find other ones. So you see confidence and motivation. We thought that this was so important, especially for this time, to help our kids be able to, think of positive ways to frame their 2021. But in any case, you'll be able to find these different collections. I'm just going to head over to the Black History. So if you're looking for different resources to get started with, you'll be able to zoom in. I'll zoom in just so it's clear for everybody, but you'll see a lot of different like templates that we've just recently uploaded to support this month. Yeah, exactly. So you'll notice, like, I'll click on one just for example. Let me zoom back out. Oh no, it asked me to log in. But if you head over to them, what you'll notice is that it seems that the Flipgrid site is giving me a little bit of a pause here. But in any case, you'll find all of the different amazing templates right from there. And then I'm just going to share one last thing, if you guys don't mind. So just from the Buncee site itself, so we just quickly covered how to see these different activities from Flipgrid Discovery Library. But one last one is obviously from Buncee's Templates Library or Ideas Lab. So if you're right now, what you're seeing is my actual Buncee account. So this is the view of a teacher if you've never created your Buncee account yet. But if you go ahead to press create a new Buncee, where I am going right now, you'll actually open up all of our different templates. So we have thousands of different classroom-ready templates. Of course, Valentine's Day is just around the corner for us too, but we also uploaded a lot of different Black History-related activities. So if you search history, where I am right now over here, you'll be able to find a lot of different Black History-focused activities and templates. Some are also contributed by different educators too. And then lastly, I'll just highlight is from the Ideas Lab that Victoria just quickly mentioned. So going back to my Buncee dashboard, there's this button called Ideas Lab on the top right of my screen. And when I select here, what you'll actually see is all of those different awesome ideas, templates that I had just quickly mentioned that are available, that are contributed by different teachers around the world. and you'll be able to find a lot of inspiration and templates and ideas, especially for Black history if you're interested in. This actually is one of the most popular Black history related activities that we have, which is to create a poem or be inspired from Dr. Martin Luther's. So in any case, you'll be able to find all of these templates and be able to build off of it with your kids directly. So yeah, so these are some of the resources that we do have immediately available. So yeah, thank you for letting me share about them.
Yeah, I think that's super cool. And in my school site in particular, we have time embedded for SEL, which is social emotional learning. Sometimes we get templates, you know, that teachers can work from, sometimes they don't, right? So being able to have a resource library that has this active and available is just so wonderful for teachers who are looking for activities to do with their students that are not only meaningful, right, but they're also reflection-based. And they give teachers and students time to discuss, learn, and just think about, you know, what's going on, not just in our world, but, you know, in past events at large. And that is wonderful.
I love that. Quinae or Merv, do you guys want to share your screen and show anything Nearpod and Flocabulary are doing?
Sure, I can share.
And
Merv,
while
you
you're
want me to
doing that,
share?
I just want everyone to know that I'm constantly dropping links, that everything is being shared. So hopefully you'll get all of those links for the different resources that are being shared both by Buncee and Nearpod right now. And if you hit the share screen thing at the bottom, Quinae, do you see that where it says share screen?
I see it. It's asking me for some permissions. Give me 1 second.
Oh, okay. And then I am dropping this. This is the Ideas Lab that Ida just shared. So thank you for sharing your screen too. That was really cool to see what it looks like on the teacher's side and all of those options. Like you guys have got a lot. I've used Buncee a little bit and I really like it. But what I love about this especially is that every single one of us, like we can tell you that these are great resources. They are not harmful. They will lift you up as an educator, but even more importantly, they will lift your students up because it's probably likely, like Merv and Quinae were saying, and even Victoria was sharing, you know, it hasn't been a long time where representation has really been a part of the curriculum. And in still some of the places, we have to put it in there because it's still not in part of the curriculum, wherever you find yourself. So.
Hey, Quinae, I can, if you're having trouble, I can set up and do a little quick Flocab overview.
Yes, go ahead because it's not letting me share.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Quinae.
That's okay. If the link that's in the, yes, and Merv, once you go in, you can show the Nearpod as well.
There we go.
Link I put in the comment.
All right. Okay, we got it up. Let me so what I'm going to do here, folks, as you can see, there are several sections here, the 4 core subject areas, and I want to focus today on the life skills section. Once you're here, you can see we have a section on health and wellness, financial literacy. There's the SEL again that we were talking about, Victoria, social emotional learning, and then racial and social justice. All right. So I'm going to jump into the racial and social justice. All of the lessons that are embedded. Hopefully it'll load here. So it'll slow. There we go. And specifically, let's see. I think, yep, here's the video I was talking about earlier. This is the John's one. So once you pull up the video, so many people think that Flocabulary is just showing your kids a video, and it's so much more than that. I mean, once they watch the video, if you look over to the far left, you can see there are 5 other activities that go along with it. So you got the video, and even within the video, teachers can put it in discuss mode where it automatically stops and presents a question that students can either do turn and talk to your elbow partner or talk in small groups. You can slow down the speed of the video, and also it's captioned. So the words are scrolling as the rapper's rhyming. You can read it word for word, slow it down if you want to, and then you have lyrics to the song. So you can see here, all the lyrics are embedded, and you're able to play and read along. And I like this because, you know, we all know that for some students, it can be sensory overload. So they can slow it down, not have the video as a distraction, still hear the song if they want to, or they can just simply read the words to it. So Love that they have choice there. And then it leads us into the first activity, which is a vocab card. Here, students actually, I call this like the new flashcard, because you remember flashcards, you had the word on one side, definition on the other, and you get your family member to help you prepare for that test. Well, with the vocab cards, you get the word, a picture, you click on it, and not only is there the definition, it gives you the part of speech. It gives an example of the word being used in a sentence. Here's where it's interactive, because the student can actually write with the word, or they can draw a picture with the word. So very cool activity. The next is the vote game. This one is probably a favorite of students because they actually get to build the beat. But in order to build the beat, you have to answer a series of questions correctly. And maybe every 3 or 4 questions, you can see up top, you get an instrument. And if you get them all correct, you build out a full instrumental beat. Now, if you miss anything, then depending on the number you miss, you fall short a few instruments. And trust me, kids go crazy when they can't get that last sound. So you know what they do? They go back, they do it all over again. For them, it's all fun and games, but we are giving them repetition. All right, then we have a read and respond. This one's simple, what kids would see on a standardized reading exam. Read the passage, answer multiple choice question. There's a cool immersive reader function built in, so it'll read to the kids, allow them to highlight various parts of the reading, whether it's the parts of speech. You can translate over 40 different languages and dialect. It'll read it in that language for you. And then we have the quiz, and that's pretty much what it is. 7 to 10 questions, great for post and pre-assessment, post-assessment. And finally, my favorite, the lyric lab, where the kids take the vocab words and create their own rap song or poetry. Again, we want to give them choice. So it's saying, I don't want to rap, I don't know how to rap, then tell them just do poetry. And pretty much here, they're charged with taking the vocabulary words that are themed around that topic and using all the words and making sense with it in their own rap. And this is cool because there's a beat generator built inside where they can actually choose an instrumental beat to play and write to the beat if they want to. There's a rhyme generator, so for every line they write, it gives them ideas for rhyme words to go with that particular line. So this is really cool, and for me, it's my favorite, not only because I'm a rapper, but it's at the top of Bloom's pyramid. When you talk about creativity, this is it in the Flocab platform. So just a quick overview, but there it is, the little Flocab love.
Do you want to show some Nearpod too?
Melody, I'm back. I can share now.
Okay, great. Yeah. And I just want, while you're doing that, Quinay, thank you so much, Merv. That was great. What a great overview. I love that you did that. And I am sharing my, I put in the comments, my Nearpod code for 3 months of free gold edition for Nearpod. So that's what Quinay is about to show you. And if you've never signed up for Nearpod, today is your lucky day. You got it for free for 3 months.
Absolutely. So yes, make sure you take advantage of that. Nearpod is amazing and it will blow your mind. So listen, when you log in and you create your account, what you're going to see in Nearpod over on the left hand side, you'll see this gray column. You're going to click down on the Nearpod library. As I mentioned before, we believe wholeheartedly that Black history is not just in February, but it is American history. You teach it throughout the year. So the first thing that you'll see is that we have here is a racial justice section. And that section is something that has been curated. And like I said, it's things that you can use throughout the school year. Will you also, Dr. Eileen, you mentioned about SEL. We have a partnership with CALM where people can, teachers can go in and pull SEL lessons, ready-made lessons. They have breathing techniques, meditation techniques that are in there. You can search if you're just looking for an activity. So if you just want a quick SEL activity or whatever, Nearpod is your go-to. You have it right here. But let's get into this Black History Month because tomorrow is February 1st, and I want everyone to be equipped to go into your classroom, feel empowered to make sure that you are empowering all of those students, not just the children of color in your classroom, but everybody needs to know about Black history. So it doesn't matter what your demographics are. Come to Nearpod,
That's right.
Nearpod Library. Click on Black History Month. When you click on it, you're going to see so many lessons. And what you're going to find out, these are not just, we believe wholeheartedly in telling untold narratives. And we believe in being relevant. So as you all can see right here, this first lesson is on Amanda Gorman, who was the youngest poet laureate at the inauguration.
Yeah.
Yes, the next day, Nearpod had this lesson that was up and available. So not only do you have Black history that is being made, but then you'll go through and you'll see various different types of lessons. One of my favorite parts, if I have a favorite, I know as a teacher, you're not supposed to pick a favorite, but my favorite part of Nearpod is probably the historical perspectives and literacy series, because I'm a social studies teacher. And so if you go in here, you'll see that we have some lessons from our HPL series that really take social studies and put it in an inquiry-based model. And so you'll see here, you have the different lessons that you can go through. Teachers, you don't have to start over. You don't have to start from scratch. As you can see here, you've got the teacher prep materials. You've got your essential questions. You've got your guiding questions. It's even broken down to the knowledge, the skill. Dr. Eileen, you talked about SEL. It's built in. Many of these lessons will even tell you how much time you need to make it happen in your classroom. Listen, we are eliminating excuses, okay? Go to Nearpod, search Nearpod Library. Make sure that you find something to amplify these voices. And I know Melody also, I know I'm probably super amped, but I am so excited about amplifying these untold narratives. I believe Melody shared this link also. It's the Nearpod blog. And if you can't go to Nearpod, you don't know how to log in, all you have to do is click on this link right here, the second line of the article. All you have to do is click it, and it's going to take you right to where I was in all of those Black history lessons. If you need some help with Nearpod, Melody is more than willing to help you. But listen, send me a DM on Twitter. I will walk you through getting your Black history lesson together for tomorrow morning, okay? I'm going to stop sharing now, Melody.
Okay, that's great. You know what? So I like how you said it. There is no excuse not to be ready for it. We gave you Nearpod for free for 3 months. Flocabulary, if you want it, they also offer like a 45-day free trial. I mean, and Buncee also, I know because I've used it, has a teacher free trial. You have resources that don't cost money to you right now. And we hope that you will take part in that. Now, we have almost hit our time, but I told you, and I said, remind me of this before we go. I want everybody to talk about the opportunities that are coming up for everybody to join, that can continue this conversation, or just what you're up to. So anybody go, before we go, we don't have a lot of time, but tell us what you're doing and how we can find you.
Camp Engage is coming up. It is a free PD for you to learn all about Nearpod. So go get registered for Camp Engage. It's happening next week. This Wednesday, the Twitter chat for Nearpod, we are amplifying untold narratives. I'll be hosting. Please join in. Let's amplify these stories. Also, Melody and I, along with Dr. Alexander, will be doing a panel for Camp Engage where we'll be talking about racial equity. It's called Keep That Same Energy All Year Round. So come on and join the conversation.
Nice. Quinay, can you let us know what time that chat is on Wednesday for the folks that are listening?
Wednesday, the Twitter chat is at 8 p.m. It is at 8 p.m. And listen, don't feel left out. If you have something to do at 8 p.m., go to TweetDeck. Schedule your tweets. Follow me at QJacksonSSRocks. The questions are there. But make sure you share your story.
Awesome. Thanks. And I'm assuming that's 8 p.m. Eastern time?
Oh, yes. I forget. Yes. 8 p.m.
Okay, got it. I'm on the West Coast, so I'm thinking like, okay, is that 8? So it'll be 5 my time. Got it.
5 your time. Yes.
One last plug for the teachers out there that are listening. Please get on board for the Black History Month contest. Get those students writing their rhymes. Go to the Flocabulary website. Just be a part of it. You know, like I said, we've had thousands of entries. That's something that's definitely going to be huge. And I'm planning with the marketing team to really get some hype on this one with special invited guests. So you just don't know what may happen, but get on board. Don't get left behind. Join the contest.
And one last plug I'll add here is that just last week, we launched our augmented reality on the iOS app. So if you guys want to take a moment to download the Buncee app on your iOS device, whether it's your iPad or your phone, you'll be able to actually launch augmented reality now on Buncee. So yeah, it's an exciting update for me, but we do have one webinar this week that I want to encourage other educators to be able to take into. So one of our ambassadors, Amber McCormick, is actually hosting a webinar on making introductions much more fun with kids. So she's doing a really creative About Me trading card activity. So we have a lot of folks I want to encourage to be able to tune into it if you're looking for new ways to get your kids to have like a fun way to do an icebreaker this school year. So that is on Thursday, February 4th at 7 p.m. Eastern. So that was my last other plug. So thank you.
Yes, I love it, and I'm hurriedly trying to put all these things in, but I think I might be able to make a blog about this and put some of the resources in. So there are still things to do with Buncee and Nearpod Flocabulary for this whole entire month. And you can actually reach out to any of us in our DMs, and we will be glad to help you. And we hope that you have gained a lot from listening today. I also want to give a shout out if you're following on YouTube. We're having even on Facebook and my Twitter, we're having a World Read Aloud Day on Wednesday. And the author lineup is so diverse in every way that you can think of: color, ethnicity, in any way you can think of, culturally, religious. Like, it's an amazing lineup. And so every kid can watch in, a kid of all ages. If you're watching and you're retired, feel free to join us in. They're going to feel represented, and it's going to be live all day from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern. So I wanted to shout that out too. Anybody else before we go? We've already hit our hour, but I don't want to keep you if you've got opportunities to share.
Hey, once again, I'm giving a shout out to everyone on board tonight, everybody that joined and listened in. I heard earlier when you guys were doing the onboarding that the work is not easy. And I just want to emphasize that when you go to put in this time with young people, you got to realize the opportunity we have to really change the world for the better. And it's not going to be easy. I remember being at a training with a room full of superintendents, and the guy who was presenting, a good friend of mine who since retired, he asked the entire room, he said, tell me about racial environment or temperature at your respective school districts. And the room went silent. And administrators, they always got something to say. Well, I should say we always got something to say, but nobody said anything. And he waited for an uncomfortable minute. The problem was only 15 seconds. And then he said to the group, and that is a part of the problem. If you aren't talking about it, how do you expect the folks that you're leading to be talking about it? So the work isn't easy. We got to have the conversation. Shout out courageous conversations. It's like working out, folks. I wish there was a pill I could pop and get a six-pack, but it doesn't work that way. You got to work at it, and it's going to be painful. But in the end, we're all for that. So, Luke, thank you.
That's
all.
right.
Absolutely.
Thank you all for joining us. I mean, again, just to reiterate what we said, we're going to rise or fall together, but let's all rise together. Let's make that what's going to happen. Thank you to Marvin, Quinay, and Edith for joining us. We appreciate it so much. Yeah. Everybody for tuning in. Alice, I saw you. Yes, take care, and we'll see you next time, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.